this argument, what is trauma? What is nature? What is nurture? And and the truth is that we have, in the last couple hundred years, with medicine and increasing environmental exposure, we have completely altered the human condition. We're no longer, in some ways, governed by natural selection as a species. We now are beginning to determine our own direction in fate, whether wittingly or unwittingly. So how we, morally, how our morality catches up to this, how our educational institutions, how our correctional institutions catch up to this, how our treatments keep up to this, how we will decide what is ethical treatment. We now have an ability to alter thought chemically. We have an ability to electrically alter thought and mood through electrochemical stimulation. We can change personality through electrochemical stimulation. By putting a little chip in the venal vein or putting wires in the brain, we can change people's moods like a fader switch. We can treat depression by turning up an electrical impulse from a pacemaker.
We can do that with electromagnetic impulses.
We can, We're doing it in Parkinson's, and now we're beginning to use it in depression. People with intractable, untreatable depression. We can alter personality through electrochemical stimulus. So then the question is, if we have a person who's a criminal, what are the limits to treatment? Do we say to them, you're in prison for 20 years, or if we, essentially do this work with you, we'll change your criminal traits? These are, or do we have a right as a society to force this? And then as a society, is this better than capital punishment? These are questions that we're going to have to be dealing with.
Especially you all are.
Yeah. We're going to be dealing with these.
These are very real social concerns that regardless of the discipline that you are going to be attracted to or that you choose to work in.
These are the questions.
These will be the questions underneath the more obvious. When you take the job's going to say, well, you're going to do X, Y, and Z. But they're not going to explain to you necessarily all the background upon which they exist, why they exist,
right,
the kind of social control that's being exerted and why it's being exerted. We need to ask those questions. What part of social control are we willing to be a part of, and what social control are we choosing not to support?
Right.
We really need to ask those questions because those are big questions. And they're questions that we have to live with.
Yeah, absolutely. When we have a huge percentage of our population that is criminalized, we have one of the highest rates of incarceration in the world, and this is a free nation. And we know that an enormous percentage of that are nonviolent drug-related crimes. As a society, how are we going to deal with this? Do we? And then, of course, when then this idea of nature and nurture, when you throw individuals in with people who have already been, quote, criminalized, what are you doing? You're criminalizing based on survival. Sympathy kills. So if that person comes out, they're not going to be very sympathetic to social values and norms. It's too risky. Yeah. We are already technologically beginning to read and measure thought. It is projected that we're less than 35 years away from being able to read thought as potentially criminally and admissible evidence in a judicial process. In Hawaii, we're already using social services is using plasmismographs. These are the assessment tools for measuring the need for treatment for sex offenders. They're informally being used under the name of safety evaluations to indirectly force people into criminal information. That's being done in Hawaii by I don't know whether it's ill thought, lack of trained professionals in the field, but the ethical considerations of this. First off, the instrument's not meant to measure criminality, it's meant to measure impulse. That's not a criminality investigation. But again, you're right on. We're going to reach a point where human thought will be measurable. Absolutely. You will be judged by your thinking, not just your intent or what happened.
And the importance of that is that when you're measuring thinking, where's the context?
And we come right back to our original thing. How many people
context?
put their hands up? So how many people here, all of us, could at any given point be demonstrating criminal thinking? Of course, most of us, if not all of us, will have at some moment or not a criminalized thought. Of course we do. How do you sort that out? This is the brave new world that we are all need to take responsibility for.